What's going on, everybody? Dawson Oda here with your Raw results for the 31st of July. Quite a fair bit to get into today, so I'm going to start with what happened at the start of the show and work my way through segment by segment and just share some of my thoughts on the results, the way that the programs are headed, the thoughts I have on some of the characters. I didn't get to watch Raw live today, so I read a few websites and studied up on what's happened, and I mean, from what it sounded like, Raw wasn't just an average show. Nothing really too great happened. No must-see TV, but we started the show with Kurt Angle coming to greet his hometown crowd of Pittsburgh. He just explained what was happening on the show, sort of filling in his BS sort of general manager role. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar proceeded to come out. I did watch the Paul Heyman promo, but he was almost a little bit paranoid in the things that he was saying. It made Lesnar look like a little bit of a bitch going into Summerslam because, you know, Paul said that they might as well just rename Summerslam the night where Brock Lesnar loses the Universal Championship and all that sort of stuff. And then he sort of finished his promo by saying Brock Lesnar's walking out of SummerSlam as a Universal Champion. So it was sort of a full circle sort of deal, but it was kind of confusing. And look, again, we started with a promo in the ring with no matches. I would just like to see the first match of a Raw or SmackDown be tag matches. Always seem to get the show off to a good start, and we're just going off everything I've been saying for a long time. Start the show with a match. People are there to see wrestling. Maybe kick it off with a tag match with the Hardys and the Revival or something, but they sort of did it in the reverse way. They had the promo at the start of the show and then had a tag match, and it's like, it's very formulated. Why don't we mix it up a bit? We had the Hardys versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows with the Revival. I'm sort of jumping ahead now because there wasn't too much to report on that. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman just left. Nothing happened. No one came out and beat the crap out of anybody. No one did anything. It was just Paul Heyman had a sook. Brock Lesnar stood there and smiled, and they walked off. So the Hardy Boys versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. The Revival sat in on commentary. The Hardys actually picked up the win. I'm kind of confused as to what's going on at the moment. I mean, the tag titles are in the picture later in the show. I feel like all of a sudden the Hardy Boys are out of the tag title picture. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose seem to be feuding now with the tag team champions Cesaro and Sheamus, and it feels like the Hardy Boys are just backed into a Dudley Boys role now where they're just putting younger guys over. From what I've read, it was a good match. The Hardy Boys ended up picking up the win, and then there was a big brawl afterwards. It sounds like they're heading towards a multi-team, tag team title match at SummerSlam. So that's where I get confused with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Why are they in the mix when you've already got 3 tag teams going at it? I just feel like it's a bit of a waste of 2 really good single competitors that put on a really good match with other guys at SummerSlam. So I don't really know what's going on here, but so there's not too much to report on that. Just looks like the Hardys are just going to be putting over some younger talent and all that sort of stuff. So we moved on to the Cruiserweight division. We had a 6-man tag, so we've had now 2 tags to start the show, which is kind of what I wanted. Just don't start the show with a 20-minute promo. It just seems to flatten the crowd and bore everybody, and then it takes the crowd a while to kick into gear after it. So we had TJ Perkins, Tony Nese and Arya Daivari versus Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, and Akira Tozawa. I don't know how to say his name, but that Akira has been sort of hitting up with Titus O'Neil lately with Titus's brand or whatever he's been doing. It's a bit bizarre, but hey, look, it's a big dude getting around the cruiserweights. It's not a bad thing, you know. He's not like WCW days when the cruiserweights would get buried. It's kind of nice to see a big guy. It's kind of weird also when you think that Titus O'Neil is such a massive dude and he's sort of taking on a manager role. I don't know if he's got any injuries or more interested in doing some other stuff along the way, but Titus O'Neil's kind of getting there. I don't really know where they're going with him. I know he's trying to get guys under his wings, but ain't he that good anyway? He won the tag team titles once for a very short period of time, and that was it. So Tozawa, Alexander and Swan ended up winning the match. Apparently the match was actually pretty good for what seemed like just a tag team match that was just thrown together in the last minute. That's no surprise. Cruiserweights always tend to put on good matches. So we move on now to Miz TV with Jason Jordan. Now this is another thing that I did get to actually watch a little bit of, and the whole Jason Jordan Kurt Angle, I don't want to call it a disaster, but really what else can you call it? It really is a bit of a disaster. The way that they've booked this, they've booked themselves into a corner now with Jason Jordan being such a disgustingly white meat baby face. He's so much like when, Chris Jericho debuted in WCW. You just vomit in your mouth when you see him. No one's that happy and go-lucky. And I prefer him to be in wrestling matches because he has a little bit of a mean streak in him. He does have the ability to kick ass. So the best things that they can do is to have him be in matches and just kick ass. Having him sit there and get berated by The Miz for 10-15 minutes, Jason Jordan's no better for it. You don't sit there and take that crap. Go punch his face in. He's talking crap about you and your family. If someone talks shit about Kurt Angle, you get up and you punch their face in. If he's your supposed father, don't take any crap. It's frustrating. It's annoying because they could do so much better than have Kurt Angle be his father. I think that's such a ridiculous storyline. Is it going to lead to him getting any rub out of it at all anyway? I mean, I don't think it is. I think he's going to probably just be a IC title contender. He was so much better in American Alpha. They were such a good tag team. They're both really good wrestlers. They reminded me a lot of Team Angle. I just hope they can find some positive outcome that I can't see. There's a reason that they've been in business for so long, but it does worry me that they can't come up with anything better than that. I saw the photo with them backstage wearing the single t-shirts with the kids, and oh man, it's like, you're really trying hard to convince us that this guy is Kurt Angle's son when I can go on Google, find out Jason Jordan's real life name, and find out who his real parents are. Kids that are 6 years old can do that, and the WWE doesn't recognise that we are a lot more informed and have a lot more information to our fingertips that no one has ever had before. So it's very frustrating. Yeah, The Miz completely carried the segment. He just did everything. Jason Jordan sat there and smiled and only got a little bit angry at the end. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Next up, we had Seth Rollins versus Sheamus. And this is where I get a bit confused. Why are we having Seth Rollins versus Sheamus for? I don't quite get it. What's the catch? Are Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins going to be in a fatal four-way tag team match at SummerSlam for the titles? And if so, why? Why are Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins teaming up again? And why are we're 2 years removed from the day when Seth Rollins broke up the Shield? What's Dean Ambrose even considering teaming up with Seth Rollins? It doesn't quite make sense in my head. I mean, I understand that he's having a bit of trepidation around teaming with him, but that still doesn't make it any better. Obviously they make a fantastic team because they teamed together for so long. It was almost a 2.5 year period that they were together. It's going to be interesting to see what the outcome of this is. Seth Rollins won in the match via pinfall. They had a promo beforehand as well backstage, and Ambrose pretty much said, "I've got burned by you once before and won't let you happen to me again." I don't know. I think I just don't get it. I'm not quite sure what the go is, but apparently it was a really good match, and Seth Rollins and Sheamus are a good pair. I could see them running a program with just the two of them, a multi-tag team match. And I just don't like the idea of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose being there already. I don't like the idea of Shield reunions just yet. It's only been 2 years, and we've already had one, 2015, in a pay-per-view where it was a fatal four-way and they powerbomb Randy through that table. Let's leave it for a couple more years. Let them really be established, and just the crowd would pop so hard for it. We had another encounter of Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor as well. From what I've read, it looks like Bray Wyatt's really losing steam on Raw, sort of getting lost in the shuffle. His promos aren't as good as they used to be. That's going to be interesting to see as well, because I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I love everything that he does. I think that he's great, but I do agree with the fact that it does look like he's getting lost in the shuffle. I like the Finn Balor Bray Wyatt pairing. I think that'll be a very good SummerSlam match and on into the future as well. I would love to see Bray Wyatt at the peak of his character-wise against the demon of Finn Balor, who's probably still at his peak. I think that would be fantastic to watch, but Bray Wyatt seems a bit stale and a bit off at the moment. He doesn't have the Wyatt family around him anymore. He doesn't have any of those things, so they just don't have anything to fight over at the moment. Why? We don't even know why Bray Wyatt is after Finn Balor. What's he after him for? Does he want him as a part of the Wyatt family, or beat the shit out of him? What for? Why is Bray Wyatt after Finn Balor? Leading into SummerSlam, they'll probably have a one-on-one match and it'll be fine, but what do you get out of it at the end of the day? We had a triple threat match between 3 of the 4 competitors at SummerSlam. video packages aired for each one of them leading up to the match, where they just basically said how they're going to win the Universal title. The winner of the match was Roman Reigns. What a surprise. So we've obviously had Brock Lesnar have his promo at the start of the show, and he's probably halfway home already by the time the triple threat started between Reigns, Joe and Strowman. I'm just hoping the fact that Reigns went over in this match means that he won't go over at SummerSlam. So we've still got 2 weeks till SummerSlam, so let's hope that maybe Reigns gets a win this week, Joe gets a win next week, and Strowman gets the win at SummerSlam. From what I read, it was a fantastic match between all three of them. Very hard-hitting, quite a high pace for three dudes that are very, very big. I would pay money to see that triple threat match at the next pay-per-view. But they've gone ahead and put it on TV. That's a little bit confusing from the WWE's booking standpoint. Why wouldn't you put that on another pay-per-view, the one leading up? Let's say Strowman does win the championship at SummerSlam. Reigns and Joe can probably have their rematches, right? I mean, Lesnar's going to want a rematch too. So what if Lesnar maybe gets a one-on-one at the next pay-per-view at, say, Clash of Champions, and then at Hell in a Cell, you have a triple threat inside Hell in a Cell between Reigns, Strowman, and Joe? I mean, to me, I'd watch that. Hell yeah, I'd watch that. So it's going to be interesting, but I think the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam is going to be a completely badass match. I think it's going to be really good. To me, no matter how good the match is, if Reigns walks out as champion, it just completely erases how good the match was, because that will just ruin everything. I am a Reigns hater. I don't like him at all. I don't think there's anything positive about him. He hasn't changed his look since the Shield. He still wears armor. Wrestles like a 4-year-old kid is playing WWE 2K17 and is doing the same two moves over and over again. Like Superman punch, spear, Superman punch, spear, Superman punch, spear. I'm over it. I'm over the way he wrestles. It's boring. He's not original. I just don't like his look, and he's a cocky little shit on the mic. You're not that good, dude. That's why we all hate you. You're not that good, man. Get over yourself. From what I've seen, a lot of dudes have had to carry you along the way. So, right, let's move on from that. So let's hope Strowman wins at SummerSlam. That's what I want. So, we had Elias Sampson versus Kalisto in a squash match. And apparently WWE has dropped Elias's last name. So, just like everybody else, Adrian Neville, Antonio Cesaro, David Batista dropped all their names. They're all one-name people. Now Elias Sampson is just known as Elias. Basically beat the crap out of Kalisto and sung a song after the match. Apparently nothing major to report on there, other than the fact that Elias Sampson is now just Elias. Then we had Nia Jax versus Bayley in a one-on-one. I love Bayley. She's so adorable. She won by count out, so I don't quite know what happened there. An interference from Alexa Bliss also happened in the match. So, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at SummerSlam. Obviously, they're building the feud between Alexa Bliss and Bayley. Apparently, the crowd was pretty dead during the match too, so that doesn't spell too much excitement leading into SummerSlam for their feud. I don't know if it's a Alexa Bliss thing or Bayley's not quite clicking, but it seemed like Alexa Bliss was a lot more on fire on SmackDown, so it's going to be interesting to see. We had Big Cass versus Big Show to close out the show, I believe. Enzo Amore accompanying Big Show to the ring, and then took some verbal shots at Big Cass and talked some smack like he always does, but can't fight because he's such a small dude. I don't know why they just don't make this dude a manager. He'd be a great manager for someone like Asuka. The two big men slugged it out, is what I'm reading here. Cass won by disqualification, so I don't really quite know what happened there. Enzo Amore copped a big bloody boot to the face. After that, Big Show punched Big Cass in the face and sort of knocked him around the place a bit. So they saved this for the main event over the triple threat match. What's the thought process there? Is there something else on telly that they're trying to beat in the ratings at the moment, or why wouldn't you have the triple threat match to close out the show? Why would you have Enzo Amore and Big Cass? Who cares? Like, really, in terms of everything that's going on in WWE, why does it matter what Big Cass and Enzo Amore do compared to the triple threat match? That seems like a much more must-see thing at the end of the show. I could see Big Cass and Big Show having a feud. I don't know what they're going to do with Enzo Amore. It seems like he seems a bit lost in the shuffle at the moment. He's not doing a lot of wrestling. He's getting kicked in the face and crying on TV. So that's about it. what they do with all of the programs they're running at the moment. It's a bit of a clusterfuck. I don't know what they are going to do, especially with the tag team situation at the moment. That's really intriguing me. So thank you for listening, everybody. That's my short review of Raw. Make sure you stick around for tomorrow when I quickly run down the review of SmackDown. And then we're a week away from Summerslam, so get excited. I will be doing pay-per-view reviews now as well, giving you guys my thoughts on what happened and what I thought should have happened or whatever. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. Make sure you check out my Final Fantasy games that I've just recently put up. My last WWE review was for SmackDown last week. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye. What's going on, everybody?